To ask the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs if her attention has been drawn to the lack of consistency that exists in terms of children in foster care receiving aftercare plans and aftercare workers, and if you'll make a statement on it, Minister.
Okay, I thank Deputy for your ongoing interest in this area. I am aware that the rollout of TUSLA's aftercare policy has been uneven across areas, particularly in the minority of TUSLA areas that have recruitment and retention problems. It must be said, however, that overall the service has improved considerably in recent years. Each year, around 500 young people who've been in care turn 18 years of age. The most recent data available relates to September of 2018, when there were 2,366 16 and 17-year-olds and young adults who have an aftercare worker. Of those assessed as needing an aftercare worker, 93% had one assigned to them. The majority of young adults receiving aftercare services had an aftercare plan, according to the most recent data. And of the 1,979 young adults aged 18 to 22 years of age in aftercare, there were 393 young people in aftercare in university or third-level college. A further 272 were completing their second-level education. In terms of other education and training, 592 young adults were in vocational training, PLCs, and accredited training courses. At this time, though, there is limited data on the breakdown of the remaining 700 young people who are either working, unemployed, or on receipt of disability services. And TUSLA is developing systems to provide further detail in this area, and I have asked that this work should be expedited. TUSLA has approved 100 aftercare posts. They have 100 approved aftercare posts in place, but they have 11 vacancies, and the NGO sector is funded to provide a further 18 posts. While this works out as an average caseload of 20 per aftercare worker, some young people need more extensive support, while others may only need occasional advice and help in accessing state supports. For example, 45% of young people in aftercare remain living with and supported by their foster carers. This group generally requires less input from their aftercare worker than a young person leaving residential care. So they have differing needs which impact the ways in which TUSLA supports them.
For supplementary.
Thank you, Minister, I suppose, yes, it's another one of my questions that I ask on a regular basis. And the reason being is because there's so many differing views in relation to it and so many different care leavers' experiences. And it's so hard to get actually uniformity that meets all needs. So that's why I'm asking you, Minister, do you engage or does the department engage with people and garner their views of aftercare service? And do TUSLA and your department have a formal advisory council for young people who have experience of foster care system? Have we a way of gathering this information? And would the Minister be thinking of establishing such a council or such an information? Because I think really we have to listen to the voices of the young people. I don't think they're being listened to. And of those 770 people that you talk about, I worry do some of them end up in homelessness? Thank you, Minister.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. Again, those are all excellent questions. As I've already acknowledged, there isn't the uniformity yet that we seek, and that is certainly an ambition, though it will take more work, particularly in relation to ensuring that there's the adequate level of staffing in relation to the different areas, as well as ensuring that we improve our data collection. And I think that's what I was trying to indicate in my answer. It has to do with staff, and it has to also do with the data issue, and that we need better data, and particularly as you've raised there in terms of the 700 young people. Do we engage? Yes. Your question in relation to the young people themselves, I did have an extraordinary opportunity to meet the Advisory Council of EPIC, who are young people who have been in foster care, and in terms of what they are doing in order to ensure and represent the interests that they had then. And I met with them, and I will continue to engage with them. And I think, you know, that may go some way in terms of the question that you're asking and filling that gap. think I ran out of time.
Final supplementary, Deputy Rabbitte.
I can.
And they do play a wonderful role, Epic, in being an advocate and also giving the platform for young people to have their say. An absolutely fantastic role completely. And I suppose that would lead me on to my next question, and probably is looking further down the tracks to this year's budget in relation to extending the care leavers package. At the moment, 18, unless you're in full-time education, is where the supports finish. And I'm just wondering, as Minister, have you considered, or are you pricing or costing, what would it be to extend that support mechanism so as we could move it to 21, move it to 23, and that education wouldn't be the only criteria that we would actually put in place to support young people? Because I think there has to be far more levels of criteria than just having people in education. I believe every young child deserves a second chance, Minister.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. As I understand, those are excellent questions, and as I understand it, that is being considered and looked at, but I will get back to you more specifically in that regard, because I think those are great questions. And the questions have to do with the ways in which there is support and financial support, educational support in relation to care leavers. And you also indicated earlier in terms of concerns in terms of where they go, where they live, etc. And I would like to say, in terms of what the state is supporting, I want to acknowledge that we have taken some significant steps for the 9% of young people who are leaving care who are at a most pronounced risk of entering unsuitable accommodation due to the complexity of their support needs, and to recognize that those complex needs. What we have done is they are being included for the first time in the category of funding under the Capital Assistance Scheme, and that my department has been working with TUSLA and approved housing bodies in order to identify where we can access and set up housing that will be for those care leavers who have more complex needs, and that they can be supported, although to be independent. And at the end of 2018, there were 30 properties that were acquired, 20 more were sale agreed, and there were 10 young people in tenancy under this scheme, and more to come.